What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another Palworld video. And today, guys, we'll be going over all the new update in Palworld for the Sakurajima Island. Now, guys, these are the notes that content creators were given, going over the new content that will be coming into the Sakurajima update, which is a couple days away for you guys. We've had it for about a week now. So you can currently see here, we're going to be going through it and showcasing to you guys what actually is in it. So new content, the new island, which is the Sakurajima Island. You guys have seen that if you've watched any of my previous videos. So a new island has appeared, Sakurajima. Take control of the tower protected by a new faction, the Moonflowers, and free this beautiful island from their control. Sakurajima is home to many new powers, explore and find new species. Now, Sakurajima is up here in the top left section of the map up the top here. You can see there is the tower for the new tower boss as well for Saya and Saline. We have fought her and there is a video of us fighting her as well, so you can check that out if you want to. We do beat her, but it is a very tough fight. So next up, we do then also have the new multiplayer arena. So this is some PvP combat that you can actually get involved in with other players, and you can battle them in a 3v3 plus yourself to see who wins. I'm not sure if you get any rewards or anything from this yet. I haven't really had a chance to actually go ahead and mess around with this all that much, but it is there in the desert somewhere. Now, next up, we have the new stronghold of the oil rig. Now, I do have a video going over the new oil rig and how you can go about getting to it and completing it. But essentially, an oil rig controlled by the Rain Syndicate has appeared in the ocean. Work together with your friends to defeat powerful enemies and claim valuable resources such as crude oil. So, the oil rig is located all the way here in the bottom right-hand part of the map. You can see the closest fast travel point is the Marsh Island. And from there, you'll either need to fly, swim, or run out there on your land powers to actually get to the oil rig. Do be careful though, there is a surprise waiting for you once you get close enough to it. You'll find out the hard way if you do decide to fly out there. So there is a video of me covering that as well if you guys want to check that out, and I do kind of break it down and show you what it's all about. Now, next up, we have the player level cap has been raised to 55. So we now have 5 additional levels, and there are a bunch of new technologies that are available with that. As well as that, the upper limit for the PALS capture bonus has been increased from 10 to 12. So that's with the life mark effigies. You can actually increase it to 12 now instead of 10. So these are all the new technologies from 50 to 55. Now, this is a power saddle that you can get. So at level 51, you gain access to the Ultimate Sphere, the Steel Helmet, the Laser Rifle, Energy Cartridge, the Cold Food Box, and the Xeno Guard Saddle. As well as that, you also get access to the Lockpicking Tool version 3. And then at level 52, you get the Hyperglider, the Flamethrower Fuel, Refrigerated Crusher, as well as Hellzephyr Lux's Saddle. You also get the Sulfur Mine here as well at level 52 with the Ancient Technology, allowing you to dig up sulfur from the comfort of your base. Now at level 53, we get the Heat Resistant Plasteel Armor, we get the Grenade Launcher, we get Grenade Ammo, we get the Frag Grenade Mark II, the Coal Mine as well, and this unknown item is actually Saline's Saddle. At the moment, I don't have her on this save, I have her on the other save. But this is where you were able to learn her saddle at level 52 to be able to ride her, because she is a flying mount as well. Now at 54, you gain access to the Cold Resistant Plasteel Armor, the Gatling Gun Bullet, as well as the PAL Disassembly Conveyor. This is essentially a mass butchering machine. You can feed PALs into it and it will dissect them. Not a pleasant way to go for the PALs. At level 55, you gain access to the Ultra Shield, the Lightweight Plasteel Armor, the Guided Missile Launcher, the Missile Ammo, as well as Blaze Armored Reuse Saddle. So those are the new technologies from 50 to 55, but there is also the new Crude Oil Extractor, as well as the Plasteel and the Plasteel Armor that you get here. Now we also get access to a large generator, which is also new. And this is obviously before level 50. You will need one of these to power these bad boys, so keep that in mind. There's also a couple of extra, obviously, saddles that you get from the new powers as well that show up. So the Shroomer Saddle, the Shroomer Noct Saddle. You also get access to the Glass Architecture set. So that is completely new in this update as well. I'll quickly show you what that looks like. It's a bit hard because it is coming up into nighttime. But this is all the pieces of the Glass Architecture set. So it's just essentially glass. You can see through it. You can see your pals. You've got windows. You've got stairs. You've got the sloped roof. And that's one of the new technologies as well. Now, continuing on from the glass structures, there is also the meteor launcher. And I would highly recommend getting this weapon as soon as you can, because it is very powerful and it's very cheap to actually make A, the weapon itself, and B, the ammunition for it. So it does require Gatling gun bullets to fire, which you learn at level 54. And all you need to make those is power metal ingots and gunpowder. So one of the cheapest ammunitions, and it is a rocket launcher, so it does do a huge area of effect with quite a lot of damage as well. It's sort of been my go-to weapon throughout this expansion, so I definitely recommend getting your hands on one of these bad boys as soon as you can. I'm not going to fire it in base because I don't want my poor pals to suffer. Now, there is also the ore mining sites as well. So there are two of those. So you've got ore mining site 1, which is learned earlier, and then ore mining site 2. So obviously the mining 2 site is much better. You'll get much more ore more quicker. So definitely learn that when you can. As well as that, there is also the antique dresser, which allows you to edit your appearance. So you can learn that as well. We then also have the Ring of Mercy, which is new. So this is a pacifist rings, and it essentially enables you not to reduce the pal's target or the target health below 1. So this does apply when you're riding your pal, as well as when you're using weapons off your pal. And it will work on humans as well, so you won't actually kill them if you have this equipped. Now, we also have the lock picking tool V1. So this allows you to actually pick the locks of chests that require keys. So for example, there's 3 different versions of this. One for the copper keys, one for the silver keys, which is learned at level 28, and then one for the gold keys, which is learned all the way down the bottom here at level 51. So it's a good way to go about getting the chests unlocked if you don't have access to keys. That I recommend learning it. I just haven't had the chance to really learn it because I have plenty of keys banked up. Now, we also have the new pal dressing facility. So this allows you to equip skins to your pals. It's a bit hard to see here because it's at nighttime. Let me grab the torch out. That might make it a little bit easier. There we go. So this is it here. So you can actually change the skin of your pals. At the moment, there is only Sunglasses Cjthecheesedj, and you can essentially assign that to your Cjthecheesedjs and they'll start wearing sunglasses. So it's pretty entertaining. They will run around like that outside of your sort of party. So for example, if we chuck Cjthecheesedj in here, throw Cjthecheesedj out, you can see there, Cjthecheesedj's wearing sunglasses. You go, Glen Coco. So that is all the new technologies that are present in the new update for Palworld. Obviously, like I mentioned, there are the saddles for the variants as well, so they're just dotted through at random levels as well. Now, there is the new resource, crude oil. We have briefly talked about that in the technology tree, as well as the new high-tier equipment and spheres that can be made from the new material, from plasteel, which is made from crude oil. So at level 50, you will gain access to the ability to make plasteel, as well as make the crude oil extractor. You want to get these down ASAP because it takes a very long time to get oil out of the ground, and you need 5 crude oil per plasteel. So you definitely want to try and bank that up as soon as you can, because pretty much everything below this point will require plasteel at some point. I think the only thing that doesn't actually require plasteel is the ammunition and the hyperglider. Everything else will require plasteel, so you need to get that up and running ASAP. Now, there is also the new raid, which is the Blazarmet Ryu raid, and you can get the tablets very similarly to Bella Noir from completing dungeons. So there is this, I've got some fragments here. I also have a video of me fighting the Blazarmet raid if you want to check that out. So yeah, you'll get this by completing the new dungeons located on the new island over here. These are the locations of some dungeons that I have found around the island. Anything with this location pin will be a cave over there. I'll leave this up for a second if you guys want to pause it to take a look. These ones as well are also new life fruit trees if you want to take a look at those to get some new power skills. Now, there's also a new event going on, so the meteorite event. So meteorites or supplies will fall from space sometimes. There may even be an unknown power from outer space too. There are 3 powers that come from outer space. I have talked about this in another video, but essentially depending on the location that you're at, that will determine what powers you get at your location. So pretty much the majority of the map will result in you receiving Xenovada. So like I mentioned, every location on the main island will probably net you a Xenovada. The only place I've found Xenogard is up here in Palladius and Necromus, up in the desert. So try and be in this area when you get the meteorites to spawn in, and that will generally result in a Xenogard. As for the Sakurajima Island update, this is actually where you get Saline. So you actually get her pretty much anywhere on this island. If you're present when there's a meteor falling, will result in her coming down from this. I've showcased this in a couple of different videos, so you can check that out when you get the chance to. I thought that was going to crash. But you also get a chance to get supply crates to drop down instead of meteorites. And you can open up these for resources. They will contain crude oil as well as remedies that you can use and sometimes even blueprints. Now, I have sort of found that depending on the area that you are in, that will determine what sort of loot you get. So it's entirely dependent on the area that you're in. If you're in like a mid-tier area, you will sort of get mid-tier loot, a lesser amount of crude oil. Whereas if you're in like a higher tier area, such as the snow, the desert, even the Sakurajima Island, or the volcano, you will actually get better and higher up resources. Now, another new update is that tower bosses now have hard modes. Each tower boss now has a hard mode, allowing you to face them in their ultimate form. Now, to activate these hard modes, all you need to do is simply approach the tower. There'll be a different button, so you can see there, join boss battle hard. You just need to hit that button, and then you'll be taken to the hard version of the boss. Now, upon completing the hard version of the boss, you will receive the actual boss's hat. So each boss has their own hat that allows you to kind of customize your appearance and look like them. You can see here Grisbolt has a lot of health. They also have extra backup here. These guys are very difficult, so I would heavily recommend coming very prepared. You can see here, these guys are level 55. We've got 366,000 HP on the Grisbolt. And they also have a Syndicate Crusher alongside of them. Now, the only reason we're not dead here yet is because of my settings. So you definitely need to make sure that you are prepared for these boss fights because they are very difficult and very tough. Like, look, we're not even... I've got my settings cranked on dealing damage to powers, and Grisbolt is just taking no damage whatsoever. So these guys are very difficult. They're very much so sort of your end game goals that you want to try and complete, because that will net you their hats that you can then wear and sort of look like the power trainers. And you can see here, this is what Zoe's hat looks like. So that's what you'll get for each boss. Essentially, you'll get their headpiece, their hat that they wear, and that's what you get from defeating the hard version of the bosses. You also receive Training Crystal, which you can see just here. So this raises its level by 1. Now, obviously, all my powers are max level, so yeah, you want to use that on your powers that you want to try and level up. But we've got Zoe's hair now. So it's an aesthetic that I've definitely always wanted for myself, and I'm glad that I've got it. But that is definitely more so sort of your endgame challenges that you want to try and do after you defeat Sakurajima Island. Now, we also have a new merchant, so a merchant who will exchange a new item, Dogcoin, for rare items. So this is also one of the more sort of endgame things that you'll be wanting to complete, and these traders are found at any of the churches. So any of the fast travel points that are the churches or anything like that, you will find these Dogcoin traders. I do have a video on how you can get Dogcoin. Essentially, what you want to do is you want to try and either capture or kill these guys that you find in the wild, the Mimogs. They do drop a large amount of Dogcoin, and you want to kill those guys to try and get it. You can also find it in the scrap piles. So here is the metal merchant, and he has a bunch of stuff for sale for Dogcoin. So you can get PAL hats here as well, which is also included in the update. So we've got Dumud, Sibilex, Lylene, Cativa, Lambo, Cognito, extra accessories, and also items to increase the amount of maximum accessories that you can wear. So you can increase your amount of accessories by 2. So I've currently got 3 accessories equipped, but if I buy that 1000 one, I'll have access to 4 of them. As well as that, he also has items that can increase your PAL stats as well as your own stats. So you've got Life Fruit, Power Fruit, Stout Fruit, and then the elixirs, which you can use on yourself. As well as that, we've got the Concentrated All-Purpose PAL Extract. So this is an extract that you can inject into your PALs to unlock their potential, which raises their PAL rank by 1. So essentially, it's the condensing stuff, but you can purchase it now, which is pretty good if you're at that stage where you want to try and condense into the final level, but you don't have enough powers. You can just purchase this and use that instead. It makes it a lot easier. Now, we've gone over these items. So these are the new items from the trader. So the Mysterious Accessory Box, the Concentrated All-Purpose PAL Extract, the Ring of Freight, and the Vital Remedy, Stamina Remedy, Might Remedy, Speed Remedy, and Burden Remedy. So they all increase your player's base stats. Now, we've also got new weapons, which I went over in the tech tree: the laser rifle, the flamethrower, the Gatling gun, the grenade launcher, the guided missile launcher, the multi-guided missile launcher, and the meteor launcher. I've only really had the opportunity to sort of test out the laser rifle and the meteor launcher, just because I haven't had enough plasteel to make the new weapons. It takes a very long time to make the amount of plasteel that you need to make everything. So I haven't really had the chance to make it all. But I would heavily recommend the laser rifle. It's very powerful. I don't have any ammunition for mine at the moment, but this is what it looks like. It's a very cool weapon, and it does a lot of damage. It's kind of like the PIDF's weapons, and it's very good for taking out enemy powers. I do use it in the Blizzarmet Ryu raid if you want to take a look at it being used in there. And then you've got the grenade launcher, the Gatling gun, and the flamethrower, as well as the meteor launcher. If there's one weapon I would make straight away, it's definitely the meteor launcher. It's a really good weapon. Once you get your first couple of meteors, make sure that you've got mining powers with you, because you can get a bunch of extra meteorite fragments from doing so. So heavily would recommend getting the meteor launcher as soon as you can. So this is what it looks like here. You've seen me use it before, but it's very powerful. Now, next up, we have the new NPC cosmetic hats, which you guys have seen. I don't have all of them because it's going to take a heck of a lot to get through. So you've got the Zoe hat, the Axel hat, the Lily hat, the Victor hat, the Marcus hat, and the Saya hat. So hats for each of the tower bosses. Once you defeat them in their hard mode, you'll gain access to these hats. Now, we also have the new Pal cosmetic hats, which I did briefly show in the Dogcoin trader. So we've got Lylene Floral, Sibilex, Lee's Punk, Killamari Cap, Cognito Hat, Rabunny Headband, Lamball Helm, Doomud Helm, Sweet Cap, Dazzy Hat, and the Kativa Hat. We also have the new buildings, which I did briefly go over as well. The Cold Food Box, the Sulfur Mine and the Coal Mine, the Pal Disassembly Conveyor, the Wall-Mounted Sign, and the Refrigerated Crusher. So all of those are new structures that you can build. I have some of them actually built, so I'll show you what the mines look like real quick. I do have some over here at my Sakurajima Island base. And these are really small and compact mines, and they're really good for getting a bunch of coal and sulfur. So this is them here. We've got the sulfur one and the coal one. So your days of having to go out and farm coal and sulfur are over. Once you hit this level, you can easily farm it up. I've got a bunch of coal from it. I've got a bunch of sulfur. So it just makes the end game sort of grind a little bit easier on things. As for the other buildings, I don't have those just yet. I've obviously been trying to get them, but they just require a butt ton of plasteel. But essentially, the cold food box is a refrigerated food box, so it prevents your food from your pal's food, I should say, from spoiling. So you can see there it is there. It's less likely to spoil. It will require an ice pal to actually keep it cool. And then you've got the refrigerated crusher as well, which I'm assuming is actually an increased version of the standard crusher. So you can use that to actually go ahead and make a bunch of the refrigerated crusher stuff, because you do need a butt ton of paldium fragments to actually do anything in this update as well. So I figured I'd just quickly make the refrigerated crusher so you guys could see what it is. And yeah, so you can see there we're now able to refine it from actual ore as well. You can actually convert that into paldium fragments, which is really cool. Pal spheres as well as mega spheres, any of the other spheres I guess as well. Yeah, looks like it. So you can also get fiber from wood at an increased rate, as well as the new souls as well. So it actually will probably be a very good thing to actually do this, because you can get a bunch of paldium fragments from ore. And if you've got the ore mining spot as well, which you can see I do have over here in the distance, this thing generates a crap ton of ore, so I'm constantly getting a bunch of it. You can see that there's another 5 grand in there. It's easier than getting stone and wood, and that's for sure. So it's definitely probably worth making the refrigerated crusher, because it will increase the amount of paldium fragments you can get drastically. Now, moving on for the next section of the update, we've got the lockpicking feature, which I did go over. I haven't actually had a chance to test that out, but you do get the lockpicking tool, and you can use that to unlock chests. The PAL skins, which I have gone over, so cosmetics for PALs. At the moment, there's only the sunglasses Kativa. However, more skins will be added in future updates. As for player updates, the Palbox capacity has increased from 480 pals to 960 pals. As well as that, it's increased the maximum amount of power that can be enhanced by life mark energies, which we did go over, from 10 to 12. And they also added a setting that prevents items from being automatically picked up if it will over encumber the player. So the new Palbox system is really good. There's a whole bunch of new filters and everything. You can see at the top here, we've got a huge amount of box space. You can also sort in a huge variety of ways, by PAL deck number, by level, by element, by alpha PAL. You can filter by element, you can filter by work suitability, and you can also prioritize your favorites. So if I want mining PALs, it'll obviously give me mining PALs first, and I can also sort it by the type. So if we go sort, You can see there normal working powers is what's coming up first. So it's a really good way to go about filtering if you're looking for something in particular, if you're looking for a level. So you can filter by level and then by mining. So if you want, boom, we've got all our highest level ones that can do mining at the top, which is really good. It's definitely worth taking a look at this and messing around with it, but the filters are great on this. Now, next up, we have base-related structures. So we've got the building system has been reworked and improved. Basing construction is now much more intuitive and smooth. Pillars have also been added, and the days of accidentally demolishing a supporting wall and the entire second floor collapsing are over. So the pillars are actually really cool. You've got the new pillars here, so let's just go foundations. Here we go. So you've got the new pillars. They look great. I'm happy with those. They look really good. You've obviously got the wooden, the metal, and the glass pillars. So you can chuck those down wherever you want, and they'll help support your base. Now, as well as that, the axis alignment function was added. So now you can actually align your bases and your foundations with stuff. So if you don't want it to line up, you can see here, we can drop it into the ground. Or we can line it up with structures. We can line it up with the power box. There's a whole different ways that we can go about aligning things now in our bases, which is really good. Now, as well as that, we also have defensive walls can now be connected. Ooh! Oh, I love this one so much. So defensive walls were the big ones. I don't have it on this file. Were the big walls that you could actually learn and stick around your base to prevent raids from coming through. So you can see here the metal defensive walls. So now they'll actually snap together, which is really good. So you can see there, if we go boom, you can see there is a snap point for it. There we go. So they can actually snap together now, making base building a lot easier for yourself, which is really good. Now you can also continue building from roof, walls, stairs, and pillars to the foundation. Previously, connections could only be started from the foundation. The new building material glass has been added, which we've gone over. The maximum base level has been increased to 25, and the number of bases allowed has been increased from 3 to 4 at level 25. So you now have access to 4 bases, and you can increase your base level to 25. Do note that this can change on server side. You can actually increase these settings yourself as well if you wanted to. But we essentially have a bunch of new missions, and we can increase our number of bases and the number of pals working at the base, which is really cool. Now, we can also change the amount of guild bases from the game options. Obviously, too many bases will lead to performance issues. You can change the maximum amount of base pals from the game options, which we have done myself. But too many pals can result in performance issues. So they've also implemented a private lock function for chests, and your friends won't be able to steal your metal anymore. It's now possible to permanently assign a pal to a specific facility from the monitoring stand. This one is massive. I love this. So the monitoring stand, before you could actually set work preferences for your pals. So if you didn't want them gathering or doing something in particular, you could actually change this. But now you're actually allowed to assign pals to individual workstations. So just to make sure that they never move from that station. So for example, I've got Yorman tied constantly on the furnace, cooking up any metal that I put in. Same for these guys on the logging sites and the ore mining sites, just permanently in that spot. So they're constantly doing work on those sites, which is really handy to have. Saves a lot of time, especially with the new update in the crude oil extractor, because you just pretty much purely want electric guys on your generators to generate your electricity. So this is a really cool update as well to allow us to do this. Now, as well as that, cakes will now be transported to chests as a priority. They've readjusted the work priority order for pals. Changes to defense facility specifications. Work pals will use them automatically even if they are not assigned to a specific facility. As well as that, measures and mitigations for base pals getting stuck when a route cannot be taken. So they've tried to fix that to the best of their abilities. Now for the UI, there's a lock function in the Palbox menu. The player crosshair color can now be changed, and they fixed an issue where the crosshair would get stuck behind the player. You can now craft items in units of 100, added more types of custom map markers and increased the placement limit to 300. The stature of Power UI has been improved, and they've improved the sorting function of the Palbox, making it easy to find the power you want, which we have gone over. World. Junkyards have been added around the world. You might find some valuable items there. I have showcased the junkyard bits before. You can find Dogcoin in them. You can find resource in them. A whole bunch of random stuff. A new random event has also been added. Find and steal eggs from monster nests hidden around the islands. I actually haven't experienced this yet, but essentially it's a bunch of pals in an area and they're defending the nest from you taking the egg. I don't know if the egg has extra stats or anything like that. I haven't really had a chance to interact with this because I haven't found any. But it does sound very cool all around. So, as for new POW skills, there's a whole bunch of new skills. We've got unique skills for the Jumping Stinger for Menacing, Rocket Slam for Chillet, Protection of Fertility for Lylene, Raging Flame Wave for Phaleris, Thunderbolt Heavy Tank for Grisbolt. I'm not even going to try and pronounce this. Polyseranius for Orsurk, Divine Disaster 2 for Shadowbeak. They've also added some neutral skills, Airblade, Holy Burst, and Starmine. Some new fire skills, Flame War, Volcanic Rain, and Flame Funnel. New water skills, Splash and War Splash. New grass skills, Circle Vine. New electric skills, Thunder Rain, Tri-Spark, and Thunderstorm. New ice skills, Icicle Line. New ground skills, Rock Burst and Sand Twister. New dragon skills, Beam Slicer and Comet. As well as that, there's a whole bunch of new passive skills for our powers. So we've got Philanthropist, greatly reduces the time required to produce eggs, which is massive for breeding. We've got Impatient, which reduces the cooldown on active skills. Infinite Stamina, so increased stamina only on mountable powers. Noble, powers with this passive will give you an advantage when trading with merchants, which I've seen as well. And then Nocturnal, powers with this passive become nocturnal and will work throughout the night instead of sleeping. So, as well as that, there's a new multiplayer, so added a new setting that always rejects guild invites. They've added some extra balance adjustments as well as some bug fixes. So due to the increase in accessory slots, accessories with the same name have been changed so that they cannot be equipped more than once. Due to the addition of many new powers, some breeding combinations have been changed as well. And they've also adjusted the selling price of all powers. So the selling price of alpha powers is now about twice that of the original species, which is pretty good if you want to farm alpha powers. So the bug fixes, mitigations have been added for an issue that caused PCs to freeze when closing the game. They've changed the grappling gun behavior to make it less likely to get stuck, and many, many other minor bug fixes, which I'm sure we'll see in the official patch notes. So guys, that is everything coming out in the new update that you should be seeing in about 24 hours from now. Get keen, the update is great. I've had about a week to play around with it and test everything out. And in that week, I still haven't had enough plus steel to make all the new weapons and everything. And let me tell you, I mean, this is a single player world. If you are playing on a server, obviously your crude oil extractors will be constantly generating oil. Whereas in single player, it's kind of just only when you're online. So the new update added a bunch of new things. It's definitely worth checking out. If you have any hesitations, don't, because it's an amazing new update. So guys, that is going to wrap up today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more Palworld content, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.